Hey students, hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into this. And the main thing we're going to talk about today is some more of the fallout around the Parkland shooting, and then some of the just insanity and ridiculousness that we've seen around this story. Now, the first part of this is something that actually happened as yesterday's show was going up. Yesterday, 100 students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School traveled 7 hours to the Florida House of Representatives to watch a vote. This because the House was voting on a motion for debate on a bill that could ban the sale of assault weapons, and ultimately in just 3 minutes, the House voted down the motion 71 to 36. And just so you understand the full situation here, the bill would have banned large capacity magazines, also labeling weapons such as the AR-15 as assault weapons, and then banned them. It was actually assigned to 3 committees in the House, but those committees weren't actually scheduled to meet again before the legislative session ends on March 9th. And that essentially meant the bill was dead unless the House voted to open debate up again, which they did not. Now, following the decision, we saw the students there in attendance obviously upset. Lots of photos of students crying in the gallery were spreading online. One in particular that blew up was of Cheryl Aquilori, a 16-year-old junior from the high school. After the vote, she said, "It was just so heartbreaking to see how many voters' names were up there, especially after it was my school. It seemed almost heartless how they immediately pushed the button to say no. They had the chance to stop it today. If there is another mass shooting, it's going to be their fault." We've also seen a lot of outrage stemming from this session. This because in this same session where the House voted no, the House passed a resolution declaring pornography a public health risk. Democratic Congressman Carlos Guillermo Smith saying, "Unfortunately, just 5 days after 17 people were gunned down at a Florida school, the Florida House just passed a bill that declares pornography a public health risk. Basically, what they have determined is that these are the Republican priorities in 2018. Wasting our time with debate and legislation that declares porn as a health threat. Meanwhile, we can't even get a single debate, vote, or hearing on anything related to assault weapons." Now, from this part of the story, I just want to preface it with, I am going to try and stay calm and composed. I can easily do that with the first part of the story. It's a vote. A lot of people have a lot of different opinions regarding gun laws, AR-15s, things of that kind. But I will let you know right at the beginning, for transparency's sake, I have been infuriated by everything else we're about to talk about. I'm also aware that with how much support some of the pure insanity we're going to jump into has, this will likely result in this video being dislike bombed. I welcome you. To those who unsubscribe and make a big deal about it or threaten to unsubscribe, please do take this moment to do that. We will be better off without you, in my opinion. That said, let's jump into the second part of this story. So if you haven't seen, there has been a concerted effort since the shooting to discredit, attack, mock, and just plain lie about the survivors of this school shooting. And the first thing we'll hit on is the mocking in Dinesh D'Souza. In response to the decision in Florida, and specifically an article from The Hill that read, "Breaking: Florida lawmakers reject bill to ban assault rifles days after school shooting," Dinesh tweeted, "Adults 1, kids 0. Following that, in response to a picture of the survivors of this school shooting crying with the text, "AP photo of school shooting survivors watching Florida lawmakers vote down a bill to ban assault weapons," Dinesh wrote, "Worse news since their parents told them to get summer jobs." And I want to say this to Dinesh and anyone that supported those tweets: go fuck yourself in your garbage face, you stupid motherfucker. If you weren't already, you definitely are now a trash person, and now just more people know about it. It is one thing to disagree with someone's opinions, their activism. It is a whole other thing to openly mock the survivors of a school shooting. Now, when I tweeted something to this extent, there were some people saying, "Oh, Phil's showing his liberal bias." In my eyes, this is not a partisan issue. While Dinesh is a conservative political commentator, a conservative filmmaker, I do not think he represents everyone that is right-leaning. In my eyes, you have people that are generally on the left, people that are generally on the right, and then the assholes. Here, Dinesh is an asshole. And so rightly so, we saw people from all parts of the political spectrum speaking out against Dinesh. This ranging from Mother Jones's editor-in-chief all the way to Ben Shapiro. Also, if I can just have a quick aside here, I kind of want to give a tip of the hat to Ben Shapiro and his website Daily Wire. Well, you may enjoy him, or maybe you don't like him, you disagree with their politics, the stuff they put out. They recently announced that they are no longer going to show the faces of mass murderers. It's something we've done here on the show for a long time. It's something we have preached for a long time. So anytime anyone with an audience whatsoever adopts this, I am a fan. But back to the story, we also saw D'Souza even denounced by the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC. They, if you don't know, are an annual conservative event. He's reportedly been a featured speaker several times. We saw a user tweeting at CPAC writing, "Hey, ACU conservative might want to cancel Dinesh D'Souza at CPAC right about now. Will you draw a line at one of your speakers openly mocking child survivors of Florida school shooting?" And they responded with, "Hey, Raphael, this is fake news. Dinesh D'Souza is not a speaker at CPAC 2018. You are seeing an archived speaker profile, and we are taking down his archived picture. His comments are indefensible." Now, as far as D'Souza, yesterday we we saw him then add, genuine grief I can empathize with, but grief organized for the cameras, politically orchestrated grief strikes me as phony and inauthentic. While the media exploits the Parkland shooting, my heart goes out to the parents and family members who are grieving the loss of loved ones. Which I will say personally strikes me as phony. Like, how can you tweet, my heart goes out to the parents and family members who are grieving the loss of loved ones, when you're tweeting, oh, adults 1, kids 0. This is almost as bad when those stupid entitled kids had to get a job for the summer. And following all of this morning Dinesh tweeted, while it aimed at media manipulation, my tweet was insensitive to students who lost friends in a terrible tragedy. I'm truly sorry. So he's apologized, he's trying to make it about media manipulation, exploitation. That doesn't seem to match up with his previous statements, but okay, whatever. And to comment quickly on the idea that these children, the survivors of this shooting, are being exploited, I would argue that we need to say all or none. And what I mean by that is if we have the victims and survivors of a shooting, of any tragedy whatsoever, and they want to talk to the media or they want their story shared, we should allow it, same as we would allow President Trump during the State of the Union to provide many examples, many victims and their stories. Someone's daughter was killed by MS-13, let's share that story, let's talk about it. If someone shoots up a school and you survive and you think that maybe something can be done so this doesn't happen to someone else, let's talk about it. Why are we picking and choosing when we can share stories? Why is it when an illegal immigrant or someone who came here legally, went through the right processes, or a refugee does something horrible, we can immediately talk about immigration and border security and it's not politicizing? But when it becomes a different situation, like how did a 19-year-old legally get an AR-15 same day, then that's exploitation, manipulation when someone speaks out? And I say this, and I always get a lot of international hate for this, I support the Second Amendment personally. And it's a massive issue, but I think at the very least we can talk about mental health, we can talk about access, we can talk about better background checks, we can talk about better points of sale. Why are we depriving a common sense conversation any oxygen? But all of that said, the mocking around this situation was nowhere near the worst thing about it. The conspiracy theories around the Parkland shooting range from, okay, that's kind of crazy, to just batshit disgusting and ridiculous. And one of the main conspiracy theories revolves around David Hogg. You may remember him, he's one of the students that we talked about standing up, speaking out. He also helped announce the March for Our Lives event. And what we've seen since the shooting is that Hogg and several other outspoken students have been accused of being crisis actors. They are literally claiming Hogg and others are paid to travel to disaster sites and argue for stricter gun laws. And let's actually talk about the evidence being used against David Hogg. I saw this being pushed by Infowars, a correspondent for the Gateway Pundit, people saying David Hogg's having trouble reciting his lines. And let's actually look at the video they're talking about.
After we heard the first gunshot, we initially thought it was a drill. Actually, that was a bad choice. Hold on,
it's okay, you're fine.
Actually, that was a bad choice because the janitor, sorry.
It's okay, you're fine, David, you're fine.
So people are sharing this video saying, see, he's been trained to say something. This is proof there's an agenda. But all I see there is a teenager trying to talk about a traumatic moment in his life as cleanly as possible in an interview. If it's not live, try and say what you're trying to say as cleanly as possible. People pointing to the person behind the camera saying it's fine, as if he was coaching him. Like, you can try and twist it to fit that narrative, but that just sounds like a producer saying, like, it's okay, just you're fine, it's calm, you take your time, we're gonna shoot this piece. Then we have people sharing a video over the past 24 hours saying, boom, damning proof that Hogg is a crisis actor. And it's a video of David Hogg on CBS. He's labeled as witness. It's news out of California. It shows one of Hogg's friends, another teenager, confronting a lifeguard. So you had people saying, boom, here's the evidence. Hogg is a crisis actor. How is it in 2017 he's in California for this, but then in 2018 he's at this school in Florida and he's involved in this shooting and speaking out? Well, the answer to that is simple. Hogg lived in California, and then several years ago he moved to Florida, and sometimes he still visits his old friends. And while he was back in California visiting, this happened, which then connects to another conspiracy theory that Hogg actually graduated from high school in California. He doesn't even go to school in Parkland, Florida. People sharing this Facebook post, this photo saying, look at the yearbook, it's facts. But guess what? Turns out that's fake news. Thanks to a student who had their Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, the school in Florida's yearbook, and boom, there he is. The other reports were fake news, misleading reports. Doesn't stop it from being shared because fuck it fits our narrative. Also, a thing to note is that video showing David Hogg in California for that news report, that has since been removed from YouTube. Now, before it was removed, it was actually the #1 trending video on the website, which a lot of people have given YouTube a lot of hate about. And I will say, while I understand the anger, looking at the title, I can understand how it slipped through. The title of the video doesn't lead you to believe that it's being used as misleading propaganda. Once you actually look at the description, the comments, where the traffic's coming from, you can see that it is. But they did end up removing the video, saying that it violates YouTube's policy on harassment and bullying. Also issuing a statement saying this video should never have appeared in trending because the video contained footage from an authoritative news source our system misclassified. As soon as we became aware of the video, we removed it from trending and from YouTube for violating our policies. We are working to improve our systems moving forward. And as of right now, that's the ultimate batshit crazy claim. There are also some that claim the students are connected and working with the FBI. And people saying this seem to feel like it's definitely true because Hogg's father worked for the FBI. Also, a thing to note is these batshit conspiracy theories didn't just stay online. We saw it actually bleed into real life politics. In fact, an aide to a Florida state lawmaker was fired Tuesday for pushing this crisis actor theory. Florida Representative Sean Harrison's district attorney, Benjamin Kelly, he reportedly sent an email to a Tampa Bay Times reporter in response to a story about how online conspiracy theorists have attacked student survivors of the school shooting. And the paper's Washington bureau chief Alex Leary tweeted out that email. And the email from Benjamin Kelly read, "Both kids in the picture are not students here, but actors that travel to various crises when they happen." And Alex Leary is saying in his tweet, here's the email. I asked for more information to back up the claim and was sent another email that linked to a YouTube conspiracy video. And the video he reportedly linked was the video of David Hogg in a news report in California. Now, following all of this, Florida State Representative Sean Harrison later tweeted, "Tonight, Mr. Kelly was terminated from his position as my district secretary. I am appalled at and strongly denounce his comments about the Parkland students. I am again sorry for any pain this has caused the grieving families of this tragedy." We also saw Kelly delete his Twitter account, but not before saying, "I've been terminated from the State House. I made a mistake whereas I tried to inform a reporter of information relating to his story regarding a school shooting. This was not my responsibility. I meant no disrespect to the students or parents of Parkland." So he apologized, but just for responding to the reporter, not for promoting a conspiracy theory. Okay. You know, just looking at this situation, I mean, it was already a horrible situation, but the fact that real politicians, that real survivors are having to say, no, this actually happened. No one's faking it. We're not being used. We're wanting to talk. It's incredibly troubling. I saw Marco Rubio have to tweet saying claiming some of the students on TV after Parkland are actors is the work of a disgusting group of idiots with no sense of decency. Jacqueline Corinne, one of the 5 students who announced March for Our Lives, tweeted, "We are kids, not actors. We are kids that have grown up in Parkland all of our lives. We are kids who feared for our lives while someone shot up our school. We are kids working to prevent this from happening again. We are kids." Diego Pfeiffer, a Stoneman Douglas senior, saying this,
"Those people that are calling us crisis actors or actors in general, you know what? I want to go to school for musical theater. I would love to be an actor, no joke. But honestly, the people here and the people that we left behind, the people that are no longer with us, they are not acting, they are dead. To have that other people tell me that my grief is not real, that I'm just acting it out, I would love to be that good of an actor. Trust me, I would. But I'm not, and this is real."
Also hearing from Sam Fuentes, another senior from the high school who sustained multiple injuries.
"You cannot look me in the face and tell me what happened isn't real. You can't tell me in my face that this violence does not occur, not after you've lost your friends, not after you've lost people you've known for so long."
And of course, David Hogg having to go on TV to say, "No, I'm not a crisis actor."
I'm not an actor in any sense, way, shape, or form. I'm not a crisis actor. I'm somebody that had to witness this and live through this, and I continue to have to do that.
Also, interestingly enough, during the interview, David Hogg even says that he's pro-Second Amendment, but he just wants to talk about background checks and access and the AR-15.
These people keep saying that I'm anti-Second Amendment. I'm not. I would love, I want every American to be able to own a gun that has a mentally stable mind, a person that has a credible background that doesn't have any previous major convictions, and somebody that's not going to go out and commit these atrocities, because those are the people that are at fault here.
And this is in addition to a video David Hogg put out on his own YouTube channel 2 days after the shooting with several other students from the schools just pointing out we're not actors. Unfortunately, it only really seems to have been picked up by a lot of people who think that he's an actor and harassing him in the comments. People calling him soy boy, he's extremely feminine, we're on to you, you little twerp, people calling him an outright liar. And here's the thing, it is okay to disagree with David and any of these other students or anyone that supports them. I think you can 100% acknowledge that on this topic, they're very, very left and they're trying to push an agenda. Disagree with them, but don't openly slander them, creating these insane conspiracy theories so you don't have to talk about the real issues. Also, to bring it back to earlier, don't openly mock victims of a crime. And with all of that said, where I actually want to end this story today is around the heroes and the victims. Last week, we talked about Aaron Feiss, the football coach who died shielding students from gunfire. there. We also mentioned Scott Biegel, who was killed after unlocking his door and letting students in to hide from the gunman. And since then, we've learned about students like Peter Wang. Peter was a 15-year-old member of the junior ROTC. Reportedly, he was killed while holding the door open so others could escape from the gunman. The stories around Peter's heroism also led to an online petition for him to get a burial with full military honors. And while full military burial honors are not generally given unless the deceased was active duty, the U.S. Army ended up finding a way to honor Peter. Peter and two other freshman JROTC cadets who also died in this shooting, Martin Duque, Alaina, were all awarded a Medal of Heroism. Classmates and family members also said that Peter dreamed of attending the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. So yesterday, the day of his funeral, the Academy announced his admission. In a statement, the Academy is saying, the U.S. Military Academy wants to pass on our deepest condolences to the Wang family and the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School community. Peter Wang had a lifetime goal to attend USMA and was posthumously offered admission for his heroic actions. It was an appropriate way for USMA to honor this brave young man. West Point has given posthumous offers of admissions in very rare instances for those candidates or potential candidates whose actions exemplified the tenets of duty, honor, and country. We also have the story of Anthony Borges. Anthony's a 15-year-old student who was shot 5 times protecting 20 students from gunfire. Anthony was reportedly shot in his back and legs as he locked the door and blocked the doorway with his body. And so thanks to his actions, no one else in the classroom was injured. A student was reportedly in that room saying, none of us knew what to do. He took the initiative to just save his other classmates. And after the shooting, Anthony was taken to the hospital. Initially, he was in critical condition, but the good news is he is now in fair and stable condition. That said, he still has a long road ahead of him with many more surgeries to come. People have started a GoFundMe page for him that I'll link down below. And that's where I'm going to end this one. This is by no means all of the heroes from that day, and I mean that across the board, the individual actions of certain survivors as well as all the first responders. With all that said, that's where I'm going to end today's show. And remember, if you like this video, you want to help spread some truth in the face of fucking ridiculous, crazy news, hit the like button, you can share the video. And also a big thank you to the people that helped make this show, everything that we're trying to build with an independent news network, viable. By whether you're doing stuff like you're buying the merch, like the Why Be Informed when you can use your feelings as your fact shirt we just launched yesterday. Also, all you beautiful bastards that help support with paying subscriptions over at DeFrancoElite.com, thank you. Obviously, just in general, but also it enables me to be able to talk about these very advertiser-unfriendly stories, or in instances like today's video, allows me to just take all ads off. And it makes it so that we don't have to shy away from the real shit that we do need to talk about. But that's where I'm going to end today's show. I just want to say I love your faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.